In a bid to ensure the enfranchisement of Gambians living abroad, Gambia Participates and the Election Watch Committee have united in their call for the reintroduction of Clause 14 in the Elections Bill, which was expunged by the National Assembly recently. The Gambia Participates and the Election Watch Committee articulated that every eligible Gambian should have the constitutional right to vote, regardless of their geographical location. Mariama Dem reports.
Section 39 of the 1997 Constitution of the Gambia states that every Gambian aged 18 or older is entitled to register as a voter and participate in public elections and referenda. This constitutional provision implies that eligible Gambians should be included on the voter roll, regardless of their residency status. In April 2021, the Supreme Court mandated the Independent Electoral Commission (IEC) to comply with this section by allowing eligible Gambians living abroad to vote in public elections. In response to the Supreme Court ruling, the IEC integrated Clause 14 in the Elections Bill 2021, which provided a framework for the registration and voting of Gambians in the diaspora. The bill also proposed granting the IEC the authority to establish rules and regulations for selecting countries where Gambians abroad could vote and appointing election officials in those locations. After passing the first and second readings and undergoing committee consultations, the bill reached the consideration stage in Parliament, where each clause is subjected to review and potential amendment. However, during the start of the consideration of the Elections Bill on March 4, 2025, members of the National Assembly voted against Clause 14, with 14 in favor and 25 opposed. Legislators who supported the removal argued that allowing diaspora voting will contradict Section 88, subsection 1A of the 1997 Constitution, which stipulates that eligible voters must cast their ballots in one of the 53 constituencies within the country. They contended that if diaspora voting is to be permitted, it will necessitate the establishment of a separate constituency for Gambians living abroad. This decision has ignited a heated debate within the country, with opinions sharply divided. While some support the legislator's stance, others vehemently oppose it. In light of this controversy, Gambia Participates, along with the Election Watch Committee, on Wednesday, March 19, 2025, held a press conference to express their discontent over the National Assembly's decision to exclude Clause 14 from the Elections Bill, which previously allowed Gambians in the diaspora to register and vote from abroad. During the presser, a position paper was presented by Marnyang, the founder and executive director of Gambia Participates, who emphasized the importance of allowing Gambians abroad to exercise their voting rights.
Deleting Clause 14 violates constitutional rights. By removing this clause, the National Assembly directly violates Section 39 of the 1997 Constitution, which guarantees voting rights to all citizens of the Gambia that are eligible to vote. The IEC is prevented from fulfilling its constitutional and legal obligations. Gambians abroad who contribute significantly to national development are unjustly disenfranchised. This creates a dangerous precedent where any Gambian who moves abroad automatically loses their voting rights. Best practices globally and regionally demonstrate that diaspora voting is possible without requiring separate constituencies. Gambians abroad can be registered under their birth constituencies or former places of residence, as permitted by Section 12 of the Elections Act.
The organization argues that the removal of Clause 14 represents a direct infringement on the constitutional rights of Gambians living overseas and a blatant disregard for the Supreme Court's ruling. This decision effectively disenfranchises nearly 250,000 Gambians abroad, many of whom have long fought for the right to participate in national elections and contribute significantly to the country's economy. Gambia Participates is therefore calling for the immediate reintroduction of Clause 14 with minor amendments to facilitate the participation of Gambians abroad in the upcoming 2026 presidential election and future referenda.
Call to action to members of the Parliament. Number one is to reintroduce Clause 14 with minor adjustments. Substitute the word shall with may in Clause 14.2 of the Elections Bill. To ensure IEC discretion in consulting with Cabinet and the Inter-Party Committee, which must not be a legal obligation upon the election management body. 2. Maintain presidential election and referenda. Keep within bounds diaspora voting to presidential election and referenda for now. Removing ambiguous wording such as, and I quote, or any other elections as determined by the Constitution or any other law from clause 14.2. This will at least remove any ambiguity and accommodate diaspora to vote in subsequent presidential elections and referendums until such time when the necessary legal framework to facilitate the diaspora to vote in local and constituency elections are established. Uphold constitutional and democratic obligations. Failure to reinstate clause 14 with amendment will perpetuate an unconstitutional system that denies Gambians abroad their rights. Set a regressive precedent for future electoral laws.
Former GPU President Mohamed MS Ba, Yankuba Manjang, coordinator of the Election Watch Committee, and Salih Tal, chairman of Gambia Participates, have all voiced their concerns regarding the National Assembly's action. While the deletion of Clause 14 has drawn widespread condemnation, it presents an opportunity for political and constitutional stakeholders to collaborate on necessary reforms. This clause was seen as a vital step towards ensuring that all qualified Gambians could participate in their country's electoral processes, irrespective of where they reside. One potential solution, according to Gambia Participates, involves amending Section 4A of the 2024 draft Constitution to increase the number of constituencies from 43 to a more representative figure, reflecting the Gambia diaspora's population across the globe. Another alternative, the matter could be addressed through an act of the National Assembly, ensuring that all Gambians, regardless of their location, have a voice in their country's democratic processes. Maria Madem, reporting for Star TV News.